Morning everyone. Some of you would have heard of the Marshmallow Test. In fact, it featured in a South African TV advert about 2 years ago. I forget what the company was that used it. But basically the idea originated in the 1960s at Stanford universities, where some researchers wanted to study how children kept themselves distracted from something they weren't supposed to do. So what they would do is they took a 4 or 5-year-old child, put them alone in a room, stuck a marshmallow in front of them and asked them not to eat the marshmallow, saying that when the researcher came back in 10 minutes, if they hadn't eaten the marshmallow, they would get a second one and they could eat both marshmallows. So, not surprisingly, some kids, as soon as the researcher walked out the room, immediately just ate the marshmallow, while others were able to distract themselves. And that was the initial intention of the research, to analyze how these children distracted themselves, to be able to resist this temptation. But the really fascinating thing that was totally unexpected was that when they followed up these children over the years beyond that, to their surprise, they found that how long they were able to resist the temptation was significantly linked to all sorts of other positive benefits in their life. So those who resisted the marshmallow, as adolescents, they had better marks at school. They were better at controlling themselves in frustrating situations. Their social lives were better. They were less distracted and more motivated. As adults, even later in life, they were less likely to be obese or to have addiction problems. They had higher education levels. They had closer interpersonal relationships. They coped better with stress, and they were just basically better at managing themselves and pursuing their goals. And it's at that point that they started referring to it as the Marshmallow Test, because they initially hadn't realized that the ability to put off what they felt in that moment was going to be so predictive of achievement and other things later in life. So now, what is the takeout from this? What can we learn from this? Well, first of all, the ability to manage our feelings and not allow our feelings to control our behavior is an absolutely key lifestyle. And the lack of ability to delay gratification, the lack of ability to avoid what I feel in this moment, is associated with all sorts of human beings as problems, from addiction stuff to violence, to unwanted pregnancies and STDs, etc. So now the good news is that it's a skill. You can develop your ability to put off what you're feeling in this moment for the sake of the longer term good. And it's a very important thing actually in sport for a number of reasons. Now, a week or two ago I spoke about mental toughness, which I defined as the ability to maintain a stable internal state regardless of external circumstances. So it doesn't matter who the opponent is, doesn't matter what the circumstances are, I stay focused on the same thing and I do the same thing in the same way. That's also a skill which responds to practice, and having that skill is what mental toughness is all about. Now, when I spoke about that, I deliberately did not mention feelings, which, yes, they're actually part of the internal state. But the reason why I didn't mention them is because if you're a normal human being, your feelings are influenced by circumstances. So if you're playing in a World Cup final compared to a local friendly, your feelings will be different. But so what? If you are mentally tough, your actions will stay the same. So it's very important to learn to tell the difference between your actions and your feelings. And a big part of mental toughness is not allowing your feelings necessarily to control your actions. Okay. So everyone always tell you must feel confident. Don't worry about that. You may or may not feel confident depending on the circumstances. What matters is that you develop the skill of competing in a confident manner. That's actually what matters. Sport is a great opportunity to practice that skill, which will help you not only perform more consistently to peak in sport, but actually will also have all sorts of positive benefits in life in general. See you tomorrow.